Hi.
Hello.
Hello, teacher.
Wow, there's a lot of people.
22,
Hmm.
including you,
Hello.
Lulu.
Hello. I'm.
Which classes are we? I mean, because
Hi. Hi.
Hi. Hello. When we
Hello.
hello, when we actually start the lesson, I mean, I'll wait for about 3 or 4 minutes. But when we do start, I suppose I'll mute everyone's microphone so all listen to each other. I don't
which
know.
classes are we here?
I
7,
shared
8,
the
7, 8.
information with 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. So, it's an optional lesson. If anyone wants to join us, they're free to do so. And you don't have to take part in the Scholars Cup for this lesson to be interesting. I mean, I found out some very interesting things about today's lesson. I did some research. It's very fun. I had some limited knowledge about it before that, and with some of you, we might have talked about this to a certain extent, but this is going to be okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
We'll just wait for about 3 or 4 minutes, okay? I don't want to start in case someone wants to join us. How's life?
It's good.
It's okay. Boring.
Scary.
Scary.
When is it gonna stop?
Sick.
The quarantine.
I don't know. I think it will last for at least 1 more month.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Maybe more.
There are some people who say that it will last until September or something. I hope not.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm an introvert. I don't like going out that much. I like staying at home, so this is okay for me, but I'm scared for my parents. I'm scared for my grandparents.
Same.
Otherwise, I mean, if I had to stay at home for 1 year and not go out, no problem. I would be able to do it. And I already know which TV series I would watch.
Which TV series would you watch?
There is an anime I've been willing to watch for a very long time. It has about 700 episodes.
What?
Yeah, but the thing
I've
is
never
that
watched anime.
I love anime, but I've never been able to start watching that anime, because I have to do things at home, house chores.
Teacher,
Yes.
when do we need to pay?
For what?
Because the virus. When we come to school.
We'll see. That doesn't really matter. Payment. I think that we received an email. They have postponed the competition for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of June.
For the 4th, 5th, and 6th.
No, that was the initial idea. I don't know how things will unfold. I don't know what will happen, but that's not the reason for us not to.
What will happen with the spelling bee, though?
With what?
With the spelling bee.
What spelling bee? I don't know about it. To be honest, I don't really care about that.
Sorry, I wasn't here at the beginning. For what do we need to pay?
They're talking about the competition, about the Scholars Cup, but you don't have to worry about that now. I'm just we'll have this lesson because I think it might be interesting for everyone. We'll see how it goes. I have prepared 5 lessons already. I don't know how things will go. If anyone's interested, I mean, even if one person is interested, we can have a lesson about it. 1 more minute and we're starting.
When are we gonna have more lessons though?
Once a week. I don't know. I'm free all the time, whenever you want.
Teacher, is it okay if you send me your email on the chat, so in case I want to know something plus I can.
Oh, sure. Let me just. Oops. This is my. I'll give you my written email. Now I know that some of you have to go a bit earlier, so I'll just start now. There you go. Now, because we're supposed to start and there's over 30 people, is it okay if I mute everyone?
Yep.
You won't get mad,
Yes.
right? I don't like muting. There are more people coming. I don't like muting students, but sometimes, you know, it's necessary for us to have a good listen.
Teacher,
I'll
I
mute
didn't
you, but
get
I'll mute your microphones, but I'll give you the possibility to turn on the microphone if you want to say something. Although I think that the best thing we can do now is to, you know, just for you to listen to me first, and then you can ask any questions if you have them. And you have my email, you have my number. If anyone's interested about anything, you know.
Teacher.
Free to ask. Yes.
Teacher,
Hello, Isla.
Hello.
How are you?
teacher, I didn't get the email.
I wrote it over here in the chat.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
Just press chat and you'll get it.
Well, I pressed it. It's not working.
Oh, wait.
There's
It was in the waiting room. I messed things up. Here. This is it. Okay.
Oh, okay, I got it.
If anyone else comes, we'll just, you know, they'll just join the meeting. Otherwise, I'll just start. Now, for the people in other classes that I don't teach, we have already started talking about this a bit. When we were covering the introductory questions for each subject, I asked most of my students what they think, but I didn't give them any information, and we didn't talk about the curriculum that's provided in the on the website. They had very interesting ideas. I just wanted, you know, to make things a bit more organized. So today I'll talk about the first part. Wait, I'll just share my screen. When you go to the website, obviously this is the art and music subject. We'll talk about. So we have done the introductory questions. Now what we're going to do is the recreations and restorations. Now the reason why this is important.
Teacher.
Oh, yes. I haven't.
Where is this?
You don't have to. You don't have to open it. Just watch it. Just look at my screen. Wait, I forgot to mute everyone.
Still?
Okay, now, as I was saying, we're going to do this subsection, but today I will focus only on this part. So I'll talk about the Notre Dame of Paris. I'll give you all the necessary information that you need to know. And to be honest, even if you know only this part, I feel confident that you would do well on the competition, because it's full of information, it's full of details and ideas that you could use for your debate or for your essays. Now, I'll just read this part and then I'll continue in my Word document. So this reads that all over the world, there are efforts to create new versions of other works. Sometimes the originals no longer exist, sometimes they do. Sometimes the new work is a strict imitation of the original, sometimes it's reinterpreted for a new place or time. Sometimes the old work is repaired to be newish again or converted directly into a new one. Now, this may sound a bit confusing, I know, at the beginning. What I'm trying to say is that there is no black and white in our world. You know, if something happens, people will have different ideas. And my opinions might be different from your opinions, and that doesn't mean that my opinions are right and yours are wrong. So that's what we're going to try to investigate on this lesson. Now, Notre Dame of Paris. I'll show you some photos. This is what it looked like. This is a cathedral in Paris, in France, and the cathedral has had a major cultural influence and importance. So people in France and all over the world really care a lot about it. Now, what happened is that it burned down on, I think it was on the 15th of April. On the 15th of April 2019, that was last year. So almost a year from that moment, it burned down. The whole thing didn't burn down. The only thing that burned down was a section of the roof and this spire. It looks like a small tower, but it's called a spire. And what's interesting, I didn't know that, but apparently they couldn't do anything about it for 12 hours. So the roof and the spire were burning for 12 hours because the construction is so fragile and so important, and the firefighters didn't know how to approach it. They were being very careful because, as you can you see my cursor? I'm trying to. No, well, you can't answer. um, uh, because it's full of artifacts inside, and everything has it's very valuable. There is a lot of stained glass. I don't know if you have been there, but it's magnificent. When you enter there, it's a different experience. Um, so it burned down on the 15th of April. But the thing is that although they have uh, saved it from the fire, it's not completely saved. It's not restored because as time goes by, there's a risk of the whole roof collapsing. So the whole roof might collapse. That's what the French culture minister says. During the summer, so that was last year, it was closed down for 3 weeks until they were, just cleaning all the rubble from inside the cathedral. Now, this is very interesting. I didn't know that in 2024, France was supposed to be the host of the Summer Olympics. Now, the Summer Olympics are a big thing. All the Olympics are a big thing because it's not only about sports. It also has to do with tourism. So there are people from all over the world, just flooding the host country and, just wanting to visit the landmarks. And one of the biggest landmarks in the world, and certainly in Paris, is the Notre Dame. So that's why people had to react very quickly. And on the day of the fire, so imagine this, the Notre Dame, the cathedral is burning, and the president, Macron, that's his surname, he declared that Paris, that the Paris landmark, that the cathedral would be restored and open to the public within 5 years, because they were planning for the cathedral to be ready for the Olympic Games, because they know that if there are a lot of tourists, they'll make a lot of money and they'll want to see it. So they had a very ambitious idea. While it's burning, they're planning to restore it. Now, because he announced that it was going to be restored, a lot of people had mixed ideas how it should be restored. And I think that it's a valid question. I think that if something like that happened in our country, that people would have different ideas. So there were people who wanted it to be restored in its authentic original state. They thought that it should look like it did. But there were people who had some very interesting ideas. So a few days after the fire, the Prime Minister of France, you don't have to know all the names, that's why I don't focus on them, he announced an international competition. Now, the weird thing is that they had to react very quickly, and they had to open the project to the world. So it wasn't only about French architects, it was about architects from the whole world. And it was about architects only. And people from all over the world, they gave their opinions. I'm going to show you some of the opinions. I think that with my students from my class, we've already talked about this, but I'll just go through it very quickly. So there were people the architects posted their ideas on Instagram and Twitter. They used the social medias to raise the awareness and to try to get exposure. This was one of the options, a stained glass roof, because inside the cathedral there is a wonderful stained glass window. It looks like a rose. It's a circle. It's a round window. It's wonderful. So what they were trying to do is just match the outside with the inside. I'll show you the other one now. This is my favorite. This is my favorite because it looks amazing. If you can see, it looks like an artificial fire. The idea was, and this idea is called the eternal fire. The idea was to commemorate the big event. And what they're saying is that we have to accept the event as part of history, and we have to include it in the cathedral. So this is a very artistic way, a very modern way of um, someone can't see the slide. I don't know why. So this is a very interesting. Are you on your phone? It's yes. Wait, I'll just open it. Here it is. So what they were trying to do is, just symbolize the big event. She can't see it. I don't know what the problem is, Lana. This is a very interesting idea as well. A Swedish group of architects had an idea that it should be restored, or I don't know if restored is the correct word, but they wanted it to be made like a big swimming pool on top. Because what's the opposite of fire? Water. There's an interesting idea, and this was one of the ideas. What architects were trying to do was to try to raise the awareness for global problems as well. So what they wanted to do is build a glass roof, which would work as a garden to raise the awareness for climate change. And if that really happened, people all over the world would hear about that. So there was one more, but this is on my, I found this on Instagram. Look at this. I don't know if can you see it? Can you nod? Just nod with your head. Okay, you can see it. So it looks like a huge spiral, it feels like you're in, you can touch God with, it's so high. Right. So I'll continue with the poll. When they announced the international competition, they announced the international competition, they made a poll, a questionnaire for the citizens, and 55% want the cathedral to be restored exactly as it was before. They don't want any ideas. I'll give you an example. If something like that happened in our country, for example, the Stone Bridge, everyone knows the Stone Bridge at the city square. If it collapsed, I suppose that most of the people would want it to be restored in its original way. Later, Zofia, please, you can ask your question later. So they would want the Stone Bridge to be restored in the same way, not with any modern twists. They wouldn't, for example, a modern twist, I suppose, would be you build the Stone Bridge again, and if there was an earthquake, you take some gold leaf and you make the cracks to signify that at one point in our history, there was a big earthquake, and this is how it looked like, and now it's new. So 55% of the people that want the cathedral to be changed. So now I'll go through 4 opinions by casual passerbys, casual citizens, and one very famous architect. I just want to show you that there is a variety of opinions, and all of them are valid. There is no right or wrong. There is just ideas that can be considered, and we can decide which one we like the best. In the materials, in the curriculum suggested on the website, the names are provided. I don't think you need the names for this lesson. I just want you to understand the basics. So the first one, this is the first person. The first person was so alarmed, she was so upset that she traveled to Paris just to see what's going on, to see the fire. And what she said, she said that the Notre Dame was one of the best masterpieces of architecture, and that it shouldn't be changed. And what she's saying is that we should consider the times we're living in, but we shouldn't make a mix with the modern architecture to respect the past. What she's saying is that old buildings should be restored as old buildings, and new buildings should be, made with a modern twist. So that's the first person. The second person is said that this is a balanced opinion. A person from Paris, a citizen from Paris, while he was watching the fire, he was looking at the fire. When people asked him what he thinks, he said that most of the cathedral should be rebuilt to look identical, to look the same, but add a touch of modernity. So don't come up with a wild modern concept. Just add a tiny bit. So if, in other words, that means to make the roof the same again, but maybe just put a small bit of something new. So the first one says completely old. The second one says almost completely old, but with a modern touch. The third one, this is the third citizen. The third citizen found it insulting that the government had announced an international competition so soon. What he was saying is that, well, such a big thing happened in our country. We shouldn't be so quick with our decisions. We should just wait and see what's going on. We don't have to rush it. We have to be very careful about this project. And he says, I'm not against this project, but the thing is that everyone has been giving their opinions and they are not well informed about the cultural significance. For example, there might be architects in our country who offered their ideas for the cathedral, but maybe they don't know what the Notre Dame means. They don't know the history. So maybe I might even ruin the cathedral. Imagine if I was an architect and I think that it would be a wonderful idea to place a giant egg on top of the roof. It's an interesting idea, but I don't have enough knowledge about the cathedral to do that. So the first person says completely old. The second person says old with a modern touch. The third one says we have to be very careful about what we're doing. People need to consult the experts. Now, I'm going to focus on a professional opinion. Jean Nouvel, I have no idea if you pronounce it like that. I don't speak French, but he's the most famous living French architect. And he had a very interesting idea. He's going in a completely different direction. What he's saying is that we shouldn't even be thinking about making it a modern. We shouldn't even be thinking about making a modern project. He says we should go as old as we can. He says we should be more Gothic than ever. Gothic, let me explain what Gothic is. It's a type of architecture, it's a type of style, and most of the times, you've seen it in movies. If you see a scary castle with gargoyles on top of it and spiky roofs, that's Gothic. So what he's saying is we should go for that. And now, because he's a famous architect who has worked a lot throughout his life, maybe his opinion is valid, you know? So I'll move on to the fifth opinion. This in the French Ministry of Culture, there is a laboratory that deals with research on historical monuments. So imagine that in our government, if there were, I think there is a department like that, they only care about the historical monuments. So there would be a department which cares about the stone bridge, about the fortress, the Samuel's fortress, and big historical monuments. What they said is that we don't know if when reconstruction can begin, because there is still a lot of debris, there is still a lot of wood and stones on the floor because it fell apart from the ceiling. And what he says is we don't even know if it will be possible to restore the cathedral. And a very interesting opinion, I had never thought about it. I'm going to focus on the technical difficulties. In that department, they have geologists and people who work with stones. What he says is that it will be almost impossible to restore it with the same materials because we are out of those materials. What does that mean? When the cathedral was first built in the 12th century, that's how many years ago? That's like 900 years ago, 850 years ago. When they started building the cathedral, there was a quarry. A quarry is a place where you can dig stone, so you can build stuff. So there was a local quarry outside Paris, and there would be workers who would take the stones and build the cathedral. The thing is that since then, because it was a very high quality stone, there was a growing demand, and people all over the world wanted to import that stone. So what French people did was take the stone and sell it to Dutch people or to German people or whoever, so they can build stuff in their countries. And they have run out of the stone. And what's more interesting is that since then, a huge part of Paris has been built on top of the quarry, which means that they cannot take any stone because the whole city will collapse. So what we are trying to say here is there are technical difficulties about restoring it in its original authentic state because we don't have the materials. Right. So I'll also, I have two more paragraphs and I'll summarize the whole lesson. I don't think we'll have enough time for the other sections. The thing is that people are very afraid of changes. Whenever, even in our country, you're too young to realize that, but even in our country, whenever there is a new thing to be done, people freak out. Everyone is an expert. Okay, there, I'll see you. Bye. Whenever there is a new project and the people are experts for everything. Now with the coronavirus, everyone is an expert. Everyone knows, right? And I'm really that really bothers me because I think that we should listen to the experts. We are allowed to say our opinion, but we should really listen to the experts and follow their guidelines. So I'll talk about, everyone knows the Eiffel Tower. And it's probably the first thing that pops in your mind when someone says Paris or France, right? When someone says France, the Eiffel Tower pops in your mind. When they were making the Eiffel Tower, a lot of critics, a lot of people said that it looked like you pay attention here, that it looked deformed, so that it didn't look right, and that it looked like a tragic street lamp. You know what a street lamp is? We have them on our street. So imagine the Eiffel Tower, which was described as a tragic street lamp. So people don't like changes. That's what I'm saying. And the Eiffel Tower has done very well. It has become one of the most popular landmarks in the world, and it has attracted so many tourists. It has made it has made so much money for the government, for the country. So maybe the reconstruction of the Notre Dame will be the same case. I'll focus on one more example. There is a wonderful museum in Paris, the Louvre. I think you pronounce it the Louvre. I think the French is Louvre. It's one of the best museums in the world. I've been there, and there's a personal story. I almost broke a painting there. I think that I've told it to my students. I will not repeat it now. Because it's so famous. When I was there, the guide told us that if you want to see all the exhibits and you spend only 1 minute on each exhibit, it would take 6 months to see everything inside, because there are different sections. There is a painting section, there is sculpture, there is Egyptian part. So 6 months. And you understand that if one museum has all those artifacts in one place, everyone would want to see it. And it was extremely crowded. So in 1984, the French president asked an architect. He was I think he was a Korean architect or a Japanese. His surname is Pei, I-M Pei. He asked the architect to fix that. So he had a very interesting idea, and he made a glass pyramid. So it's transparent. If you look at through the pyramid, you can see the museum. Wait, I'll try to find it. This is how you. My internet is very bad. I don't know. So Louvre pyramid. This is what it looks like. Wait, which one should I use? I'll just download this one, I suppose. I'll minimize this. So this is what it looks like. But the thing, during the day, you can see the building behind the pyramid. The idea was not only artistic. It wasn't because the president wanted to do something artistic that's going to be fashionable or trendy. The idea was that it would create another central entrance. So an entrance to the museum. We have 10 more minutes. An entrance to the museum, which was going to make visitor movement easier, because it's a huge entrance, and it's a very controlled environment. When he made that, the critics said that it was an eyesore, that when you look at the pyramid, that your eyes will start to hurt because it's so disgusting. And they called it an architectural joke, that someone was messing around. So I'll take the stone bridge as an example. If it's very crowded on both ends, and our president asks an architect, you have to do something about it, and he makes another bridge, for example, another bridge on top of the bridge, people will go crazy. They'll say, oh, what was he thinking, blah, blah. But maybe it will work. Who knows? So to repeat, people don't like new things. People didn't like the Eiffel Tower. People didn't like the pyramid in front of the Louvre. And the last part, what I didn't know this, and I had partially thought about it. History is a line. It's never just one point in time. It's not like they decided to build the cathedral and they just placed it. Like if you're playing Farmville or whatever, you don't just place it and it just magically pops on that side. No, it takes a very long time to build it. The first version of the cathedral was built in 1820, I think, so 12th century. But until 1859, it stayed the same. Then in 1859, they made some alterations. They changed it, and people didn't like it even that time. They were saying, oh, let's bring it to the original. What I'm trying to say, and this is very important, is how do we know what was the original state? Is the original state the one in the 12th century? Is the original state the one in the 19th century? Is the original state what was 1 year ago? Because throughout the history, throughout the lifetime of the cathedral, there have been changes all the time. So how do we say this moment, this is it, this is the original? So even if we make one more change now, it might not be a big deal. Okay, Afan, bye, see you. So one more thing. Let me just summarize the whole lesson. I hope that it was clear. So the cathedral burned, a part of the cathedral burned down on the 15th of April. Not the whole thing, just the spire and the section of the roof. The following day, they made a decision, a declaration that it was going to be renewed for the Olympic Games in 2024, because I told you it's very important. It makes a lot of money. A few days after the fire, the French Prime Minister announced the international competition. There were a lot of interesting ideas. I'm not going to repeat the ideas. There was a survey, there was a poll for the citizens of Paris, of France. 55% wanted to stay the same. I went through 4 different opinions. The first normal person, a normal citizen, wants the cathedral to be restored in its original old style. The second person says that it should be almost completely restored, but add a modern touch. The third person said that we should be very careful about how things are going, because we need to consult the experts. And the fourth opinion was by the most famous living French architect, Nouvel, who says that we should take things in the other direction and just make it look as old as possible, make it even more Gothic. And the fifth one was, the fifth opinion was from the person who works for the Laboratory of Research for Historical Monuments, and he says that there will be technical difficulties because we don't know if it will ever be restored, because it's so fragile, it's so old. But even if we want to restore it, it will be difficult to restore it to its original state because we don't have the materials, we don't have the stone. You understand that? And I finished by saying that changes throughout history have not been very welcome. people criticize those new projects. The two examples I gave you are the Eiffel Tower that was described as a tragic street lamp, and the pyramid in front of the Louvre, which was described as an architectural joke. And the last thing I said was that there is no way for us to know and to pinpoint what was the original state, because buildings like that are built over time, and it takes a lot of what's the word? It takes a lot of modifications to the original idea. Now, we have about 4 minutes, so I will not bother go with the other topics. If you remember what I just said and you read it one more time, if you want to, I can send you my Word document. I've simplified it a bit over there. If you read this, it should be enough for you to talk about the art section. And if there is a topic for the essay or for a motion for the debate where you need to talk about restoration, I think that this might be enough. That I'm not saying that we will not continue with the lessons and that you shouldn't study anything else, but try to focus your attention on this. This is very important. If you have any questions, you have my email, you have my phone number. You know, whenever you want to, you can just call me. I'll stop the share screen now. I'll unmute everyone. Does anyone have any questions?
Bye.
Bye. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
Nope.
No? Was that clear?
No.
Yes.
Okay. I hope you found it interesting. If you guys found this useful, we can have one more lesson next week.
Yay.
Yeah, it's really
But if you want to, now I'll just share my screen for one more thing. Also, wait, how do I? Now, so I talked only about this part, Notre Dame. The following four are a bit easier to talk about, and I'm confident that I could cover them in about 40 minutes. So if we have a lesson next week, we'll do this. It's quite interesting, to be honest. I really enjoyed when I was. Yes. Questions?
Teacher,
Yes.
are we only going to be learning about
art and music.
yeah, art and music?
No. It depends how much time we'll have and how many people are willing to listen to me. If you guys like these lessons, I'll prepare lessons for all the other subjects. Now, my forte, what I'm good at is art and music and literature and media, but I have, I can do the others as well. I just have the most experience in those two subjects.
Because me, Matea, and Stasha are thinking to do about special area.
Mistakes. Yeah, those mistakes.
The thing is that, Zofia, you have to learn all of it.
All of this.
Yeah, I know.
You don't just choose one thing. What you can do if you're working as a team is maybe you can take you can assign subjects. So Zofia, maybe you can do art and music and literature. Matea can do social studies and the special area. And who's in your team?
Stasha.
And Stasha can do the other two. But then you have to give each other feedback. You have to explain it the way I did, so everyone knows what's happening in all the subjects.
I think
Mine is special area. Mine is special area.
There's less than 1 minute, so
we're
I'll
not
end,
doing that, Sophia.
I'll end the meeting. Listen up. I posted. Listen up. I posted my email over there, but if you need any other information, you can ask your class teachers. They'll contact me. If you have my Viber, you can just send me a message over there. I have to go now. We have a meeting with the other vice principals. So I suppose I'll talk to you soon tomorrow with most of you. All right?
Okay.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Teacher.
Bye.